how much money we have spent out of our general fund on our facilities the last few years. It's been over 500,000.
And there's a huge difference between maintenance and capital improvements. And you take all the 18 rooftop units that are HVAC at FCS, they're 22 years old. Well, all of these things have a shelf life. Eventually major components are going to fail. And so this is not maintenance.
Today we're talking with Dr. Dorie Vickery, Superintendent of the Sheridan School District, and Mr. Sean Vesper, Operations and Facilities Manager for the Sheridan School District. I want to thank you both for taking the time out today to help us get a good understanding of the needs that are driving your efforts to pass a bond measure with the Sheridan voters. Appreciate your time. I will say at the outset that I did live in Sheridan for 17 years, but I'm not a resident now, and yet I still fully endorse your plan. My heart is with you, and I hope and pray that the bond measure passes. So that's why I have you on, because I believe in it. And from what I've seen, the needs are important, and you wouldn't make all this effort if you didn't have specific needs. So we're going to talk about those. I think they'll make a difference for the future of the district, as well as, of course, a difference for the students. And that's why we're all here. So first, does your request, because some people have talked to me about this when they look at other school districts and the money that they're asking for at times, but does your request only address physical and technological changes, or does it also benefit any staff salaries or the hiring of new staff?
So that's often a confusing point with voters. But when you pass a bond, there are restrictions that a bond oversight committee would be looking at, that you are only doing the projects that are outlined in the bond language, and we are not allowed to use any money for staffing. So all of our staffing comes from the state school fund, from grants, a variety of grants that we receive. But no, the bond would be 100% on improvement of our facilities.
Awesome. All right. So, and when is the election exactly? What's the deadline?
So we are told that ballots will be mailed out April 30th. The election day is the 20th, and we hope to have of May.
Of May. Okay. Well,
it's coming up.
Yes, it is soon. What would the cost be for, say, the average homeowner in Sheridan if the bond measure passes?
I'll let Sean take that one because he's answered it for other people.
It's based on assessed value, not market value. So, and the mean value of properties in Yamhill County are around $150,000. So it's not like you're getting taxed for your retail value at $500,000. But so that's average, and on average, that's between $11 and $15 a month.
That's pretty good. It's a good thing. I mean, the assessed value versus market value, that's really helpful to the voter. So it doesn't seem like that would be a hardship for almost anybody in Sheridan.
It's a huge distinction that I'm just trying to drive home, because until I started going through this process, I didn't realize that it was based on assessed value or even what the difference was. I'd never had any interest in knowing that, but it's a huge difference.
When this passes, there's something about the state of Oregon helping out financially.
Correct. We are number one district to receive $6 million. There's a handful of districts, but we are the highest rated district for the need. This is a grant program that the state of Oregon has had for many, many years, and it used to be $4 million. And then a few years ago, the state legislature decided to increase it to $6 million because of the rising costs of everything. And so we completed a long-range facility plan in the fall in order to be eligible for the $6 million. It's a matching grant. So you can get up to $6 million if your voters pass a $6 million bond.
Oh, wow. That's great. And I'm sure Sheridan needs it. And then you say that they, out of the whole state, made you the highest priority?
We're the highest ranked of the districts that are going for a May bond. There's a handful of others, much larger districts going for very, very large amounts. And that information is available on the Oregon Department of Ed website.
Oh, okay.
But we do have a letter from them stating that, yes, Sheridan will receive the funding
Way
if
to
a
go.
$6 million bond is passed. Yeah.
Well, all the more motivation. Well, I almost feel like knocking on doors for you at this point because that would be so great. So, what are some of the biggest facility repair needs that and updates at the high school and at Faulkner Chapman School that you see?
Well, this was quite a process. You know, we had to do a long range facilities plan in order to qualify for that grant. And then we had to form a bond committee. And there's so much to be done that we really had to prioritize everything and keep it, the bond committee prioritized three key areas: safety, security, facility repairs and upgrades, and updated learning and community spaces. And a lot of these are critical needs. You know, FCS, Faulkner Chapman, one pressing need is a complete overhaul of the old gym, a vital hub used nearly daily by youth sports clubs and the broader community. This building also serves as a Red Cross shelter, and houses our choir and band rooms, both desperately needing renovation to support student programs effectively. Similarly, at the high school, our science room is currently non-functional as far as labs go. You know, requiring a full restoration to restore, hands-on learning again. Right now, we don't. I don't think it's ever been updated since the '60s.
So, when I think of what a science lab might need, it might be new gas lines for Bunsen burners or
Yeah, and the whole classroom needs to be revamped. The drains don't work. The water lines at the sinks don't work. The gas had to be shut off because of a leak somewhere in history. I don't even know when. And and then we disturbed the cabinets in that room. That means we have to abate the asbestos floor tile. And if we're going to do that, we should just finish the job throughout the high school.
so asbestos abatement building wide.
They did the halls, I want to say around 2015 or 2016, and took it down to polished concrete. And we're hoping to do the same in every classroom. Just be done with it. It'll save us so much time and effort and money in the summer encapsulating this stuff.
For sure. So back to the old gym, I call it, because it
Yeah.
was the only gym for Chapman School. What are the kind of the big things? Is it ventilation? Is it the floors, walls? I mean, what really stands out? Is the roof?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, there you go.
Everything you listed.
All of it.
Um,
Yeah. So it's our fear of, like, if we don't, because of the timing, by the time you sell the bonds, you make the plans, you do the renovation, it could take 18 months to 2 years. And our fear is by that time we could have this building could be condemned. And then we will be in a world of hurt. So yes, it was everything you listed off.
Hmm, hmm.
and it's
Okay.
not just important for the community or our youth sports. Our K-5 PE, I mean, that's the only place we have to perform PE for them because the main gym is used for the middle school.
Well, I know you have a camera system at FCS because I've seen them. And are they needing an upgrade? And what about the high school? Does it have one? And what's going on with those?
Yes,
Must be a safety security thing, right?
they both do, and they both have camera systems. They're all on the same server at the high school. That's just the software alone is outdated by a decade. I can't even tell you how old the hardware is or the server, and we do not have sufficient coverage either. You know, if you look out behind FCS, all those playgrounds and stuff, there's no coverage. We can't see what's going on out there. And these cameras are paramount to our admin. You know, whether see what's going on or what happened, especially if there's an incident.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a big space. It's huge.
But yeah,
That
and not
playground.
only that, I mean, we protect district assets. Our food services van was stolen last summer, I believe, and
Wow.
we could zoom in, but the further you zoom in trying to get an image, the worse it gets. Instead of the opposite with new camera technology.
It's not like NCIS then, huh?
No.
Where they can just all of a sudden, okay. Well, I understand. Well, maybe you can when you get the upgrade,
Hmm.
but we'll see. What about other safety and security needs that stand out around the district? Some office security or letting people in and out, things like that?
Yeah.
So when we went for a bond in 2023, 2 years ago, we had a secured entrance at both schools. Now, the cost is not cheap for those projects. You're literally creating a one door entrance with a waiting room so that someone entering the building, like if you're yourself and you're coming in to volunteer, you can't have access to the rest of the building until you talk to someone and you are signed in, and then they open the door for you to get into the building. So a lot of schools have these, and because we needed to knock down the cost of our bond projects, we prioritized the high school, probably more because of the location in town and how wide open the whole front is with the lawn and everything. So they'll reconstruct all the front doors of the high school and create a secured entrance, which will be fantastic. And that is a huge one, along with all parking lot lighting. That is also a big part of our security, is to increase our lighting at both schools, exterior
Good
lighting.
idea. I've seen thicker glass in some of these school remodels at the office entrance area. Is that part of it by any chance?
There's different levels of glass. Sean, do you remember in talking about with Bremick?
I don't remember the glass particularly, but I did go to a demonstration in Eugene, a live fire demonstration where they used ballistic film, um, and it's amazing what it does. I mean, even if it's not, there's different grades. Even if it's not bulletproof, they've had firemen try to break their way through this glass, and they just can't. I mean, what it does is it gives police time to respond to somebody trying to break into the school, uh, whether school's in session or not.
Well, that makes me think about the back end. Is that still fairly accessible and needing a little bit more security, or would you rather not talk about that?
We need more cameras, but
Okay, cameras, yeah.
we sealed up the property last year
Right.
and bridged the gaps in the fences. And
Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you would want to make sure that people hear, or just say, get out and vote, please?
well, yeah, we're going to do parking lots too. The parking lots are terrible. Expand parking because it's along with exterior lighting because it's so congested here when we have an event or a game. When we have a field south of the new gym, we can put a new parking lot there.
I think the other thing I would like to add is how much money we have spent out of our general fund on our facilities the last few years. It's been over 500,000. And that is a lot of just critical maintenance with trying to stay on top of things. I mean, in December, we had an HVAC unit go down at FCS. That was $30,000. We continue to use our contingency fund. We have a fantastic business manager, but it's just, I continue to think of if we got ahead of this with the bond passing and had 12 million to do the improvements, how that would impact our general fund and what we would be able to do for students, because we're spending just so much time on our time and money on our facilities of just trying to keep kids
Yeah, it
safe.
makes sense to get ahead of the game. And in today's costs, 12 million doesn't seem like very much. So I'm sure you're going to use every ounce of it.
Yes, yes. And when the bond passes, we will have a bond oversight committee. There's been talk about that. And also, other districts have been very fortunate in that once the bonds sell and depending upon construction costs, they actually end up with more funding available than originally
Oh,
anticipated.
good. Awesome.
And yeah, and there's also confusion of why we say it's an estimated 80 cents per 1,000. And that's because the attorney tells us it's required to say estimated because we don't know what property values are going to be like in 6 months. And that's very confusing because people think that we could be trying to deceive the public. by, you say it's estimated. So you're going to up the district's going to up the cost. And it's like, no, it's based on assessed value.
Well, and the assessed value might go down. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
likely, but hopefully
Hmm.
that wouldn't reduce the amount that you get. But is it pretty much when you cross the line of the election, that's the amount that we'd be looking for, or does it change?
It No, you have 6 months to sell the bonds.
Oh, okay, okay.
So there's a process, and we put together the bond oversight committee. But once we sell the bonds and we get an idea of really how much this is generated, and the rate is, it's with our taxpayers for 25 years, but we get all the money up front when we sell the bond. It is a confusing process. Now that this is our third time since I've been here as superintendent of going for this, I just continue to learn more and more about how this
Well,
works.
and I hear a lot of confusion. It's like why isn't this maintenance being kept up on? And there's a huge difference between maintenance and capital improvements. And you take all the 18 rooftop units that are HVAC at FCS, they're 22 years old. Well, all of these things have a shelf life. Eventually major components are going to fail. And so this is not maintenance. We just spent $29,000 on a new unit up there 2 months ago. And it's what people fail to grasp is as the roof fails, as units fail, we don't have the money in the operating budget to do these capital improvements.
Well, that's a big
Mhm.
deal, and it's a good way to cap off our discussion. Um, and I want to just say, awesome, good job for all the things you've always been doing and will continue to do. I hope all the registered voters will see their way to saying yes to Sheridan School District 2025 bond. Let's get this thing through. And thank you for your time.